Ladies and gentlemen, the Nintendo Switch is quickly climbing the ranks of becoming one of the best-selling consoles of all time. Now you have to remember, the Nintendo Switch came out in 2017, so that is an impressive accomplishment in a short amount of time. But it got me thinking, what are the best-selling consoles of all time? And can the Nintendo Switch become the number one selling console? So in today's video, I thought it would be fun to look at the best-selling consoles of all time and to figure out if we think the Switch can become number one. My name is Robot Joe and I'm your host as always. Let's go ahead and get started. Yeah, I was looking up the best-selling consoles, and the list kind of surprised me, so I thought it would be really fun to go over and to figure out if the Switch can become number one. Before we get started, hit a like and subscribe, follow me on Instagram, remember we're doing some really cool giveaways, so don't miss out, and let's just get into it. So I just have this pulled up on Wikipedia, so I'm assuming these are the right statistics. Number one, we have the PlayStation 2, released in the year 2000, so this is 23 years old at this point, 155 million consoles. That is amazing. During the PlayStation 2 era of gaming, myself, I got one pretty late, probably around like 2005 or 2006. I was a GameCube kid. I know, it wasn't a popular console at the time, but that's what I ended up going with, and I feel like I made the right choice still. So the highest selling Nintendo console is a Nintendo DS, which is pretty freaking crazy. I don't know. I know everybody seems like they had a DS, but 154 million consoles, it just seems so like insane to me. I just can't believe 154 million DS consoles were sold. I don't know why it makes me feel like the number can't be correct, but I see it is. So number three, we have the Nintendo Switch. And as you can see on this list right here, it is the only thing that is a hybrid console. And that's kind of what has made the Switch so popular. This was released in 2017. This list says 125 million consoles. I do think this list is probably a little outdated, so it's got to be higher than that by now. But do we think off the top of our heads that the Switch can respectably sell another 30 million consoles to become the best-selling console of all time? It kind of just depends when Nintendo wants to stop supporting the Switch. You know what I mean? If they announce a new console next year, sure, the Switch sales will slow down, but if they keep selling Switches in stores for retail at least for the next 3 or 4 years, then that possibly can happen. They have the Game Boy and Game Boy Color after that. So the first Game Boy was released in 1989 and the Game Boy Color in 1998. That is crazy. I kind of do feel like they're two different consoles. Like I wouldn't put them together. That's just me. And there was such a big time difference in between the two. It almost seems like not fair to count them together. But 118 million, that I felt like there was more Game Boys and Game Boy Color sold than there was Nintendo DS's. After that, very surprising to me. Very, very surprising. I definitely didn't think this was that high on the list. I don't know why. The PlayStation 4, released in 2013, 117 million consoles. Yeah, you know what's funny is I have a PS4 right here beside me. I just got a PS4 for the first time ever, like 2 months ago. Slowly diving into it. Yeah, I've been playing some exclusives like Spider-Man and stuff, and it's pretty fun. Below that, they have the PlayStation, the OG one, released in 94, 102 million consoles. For some reason, I feel like the OG PlayStation would have sold better than the PlayStation 4, but obviously I'm wrong. Yeah, PlayStation, it's a classic. I had one recently, a PS1. I tried to go back and play some of the older stuff, and the graphics just don't really hold up at all. I'm not sure why. Still a good console. Another console I thought that would be higher up is the Nintendo Wii. I felt like that was a cultural event. Released in 2006, 101 million consoles. I feel like this would be in the top 5 for some reason. Everybody you know, including your grandma, had a Nintendo Wii. Like you would see old grandmas doing the Wii Fit stuff. That's how popular the Wii was. Wii Sports is probably one of the most played games in the history of gaming. And yeah, I just expected this to be higher. The PlayStation 3, 2006, same year as the Wii, 87 million. Very respectable number. Yeah, I guess that seems right. So the Xbox 360, 84 million. I thought this would be higher as well. Yeah, I've always been an Xbox fan. Xbox 360 is what made me kind of fall in love with Xbox. Yeah, I guess that's fair, 84 million. So we have the Game Boy Advance, released in 2001, 81 million consoles. That is insane. I definitely didn't think the Game Boy Advance sold that well. It's like everybody kind of had a Game Boy when I was younger. You just kind of had one at your house. Even people who didn't really play video games had a Game Boy. But I feel like you had to be like a kind of like a gamer to have a Game Boy Advance. They're a more rare sight to see. 81 million consoles sold tells me differently. Apparently it was insanely popular. Holy crap, this is insane to me. I never thought this would be this high. The PlayStation Portable, also known as the PSP, 80 to 82 million sold. I very rarely see a PSP in the wild. Again, I just got one. I went to LA this year. I got my first PSP ever. It's right there behind me on the shelf. I play it all the time. I never would see people have PSPs when I was younger. I guess I didn't have enough friends. Because apparently 80 million people had a PSP. That's all PlayStation needed to do. Remaster a PSP or a PS Vita, bring it back, instead of releasing the PlayStation Q or whatever dumbass thing they try to make. Nintendo 3DS. Nintendo 3DS released in 2011, 75 million consoles. This makes sense because the 3DS was kind of supported up until like a few years ago, I think. But yeah, 75 million. I don't really have anything else to say about that. That makes sense. So the NES, or in Japan, known as the Famicom, released in 1983, 61 million. That's a pretty high number. I don't know why. I thought that would be super low, like 20 million or something. But yeah. So the Xbox One, a console that I feel like a lot of people loved and they hold dear to themselves, but kind of was a failure in the grand scheme of things. 58 million. Now you can say, how is that a failure? It didn't give people high hopes, I guess, moving forward to the next Xbox console. They released like 15 variations of this thing as well, and still were only able to sell 58 million consoles. The Super Nintendo, or Super Famicom, 50 million. I thought this would be higher than the NES, but I guess not. I wonder what gaming was like in the early 90s. Was it promising for the future? Holy crap, this is insane to me. The Game & Watch sold 43 million copies. I don't even know how that's like possible. It's such a niche and rare thing to even see now. Like, that's crazy. So the Game & Watch was able to sell more than the GameCube and the Nintendo 64. The PS5, released in 2020, very impressive, 38 million. There was the crazy PS5 shortage and scalping stuff going on. That's all over now. I don't know if I'm ever going to get one. Maybe not now. There's nothing I really want to play, I guess, on the PS5 yet. But that can change. Like I said, I'm just getting into PS4 now. And I have thousands of games I need to get into, so time will tell. The Nintendo 64, released in 96, 32 million. Yeah, that's probably what I would put it at. Seems very fair. The Sega Genesis, wow, 30 million, very respectable, released in 1988. Sega could have been as big as Nintendo. I truly, wholeheartedly believe that. Sonic could have been as big as Mario, and I don't know, I feel like almost hurt that Sega didn't continue past the Dreamcast, really. So we have the Atari 2600, 30 million, OG Xbox, 24 million. You gotta remember, this is a brand new thing coming out of nowhere. 24 million is pretty awesome. And the GameCube, 21 million. I play my GameCube all the time. This hurts to see on this list so low. I loved it. Now you'll see people saying like, oh, the GameCube was amazing. It was so cool. But I was there at the time of release. It was not like that. All my friends had an Xbox or PS2. And I was like, do you guys want to play Mario Sunshine? They're like, what the hell is that? But I wouldn't trade those memories for anything. And we have the Series S and X at 21 million, which is way lower than I thought it was going to be because Xbox was more readily available during like the shortage. Yeah, I don't know. I thought that would be at least 30 million. I'm not going to go over all of these right here, so we're just going to go over a couple more. The Wii U, 13 million. Insane it sold that much. Like, I feel like people didn't understand what the Wii U was. They probably thought, do I have to have a Wii to play a Wii U? Or is that little gamepad something? Is it just an accessory for my Wii? I feel like strictly just changing the name of the Wii U to the Nintendo Willy Wonka or something, something stupid. Just change it to anything. It would have sold more. The PlayStation Vita, 10 to 15 million. This is kind of the numbers I expected, like the PSP. The Game Gear, wow, 10 million. Game Gears are sick, dude. I had one when I was little. I remember they took like 4 or 8 batteries and they would die in like 2 hours. Pretty insane. The Dreamcast, hurts me to see it so low, 9 million copies, because the Dreamcast was awesome. Anything else I really want to talk about? Wow, the Color TV game, Nintendo's real first console, sold 3 million consoles. Insane. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think? Do you think that the Switch can outsell the PS2? I would love to hear your opinions. What is your favorite console on this list? What console do you think deserves to be higher up? In the comments below, let me know your thoughts and opinions. And remember, if you enjoy gaming news, gaming stories, and Nintendo Switch content, then you're in the right place. So hit a like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram. Let's keep this community growing. And you guys know me. I'll see you soon with a new video. Peace out.